It was a spectacle in the courtroom today as Oscar Pistorius took the stand and for the first time told his version of events from the night he shot and killed his girlfriend. Midway through his testimony, the Olympic star broke down. Actually, he not only broke down, he fell apart completely, weeping so hard that the judge actually got up and left the room. ABC's Matt Gutman reports now for our series, Blade Runner on Trial.
She wasn't breathing.
It was a gut-wrenching moment. You couldn't see Oscar Pistorius testify, but you didn't have to. In the dock, accused of murder, Pistorius began sobbing as he described, for the first time publicly, the moment he found his girlfriend, the model Reeva Steenkamp, dead in his bathroom by his own hand.
I sat over Reeva and I cried. And I don't know how long. I don't know how long I was there for. She wasn't breathing.
Emotional testimony by an inconsolable man. But could it sway the judge into accepting his defense? That he mistook the model for an intruder. On Valentine's Day last year, he fired 4 bullets into the bathroom in his Pretoria home, killing her instantly.
She wasn't breathing.
Abruptly, Judge Thokozile Masipa suspending proceedings, apparently to give Pistorius the opportunity to compose himself. But his howls only intensified. Pistorius would come back into the court, but wouldn't say another word.
I cannot responsibly ask the court to carry on today.
Oscar Pistorius walking out of court after crumpling on the witness stand. In court, we watched as he started to sob and then wail. And the question in the courtroom and around this country, were the agonized howls helping or hurting his case? The man known as the Blade Runner had ascended Olympic heights. But for the past month, he's been sitting in the front bench in this packed Pretoria courtroom. For days on end, grisly forensic testimony about the state of Reeva's body or blood spatter would have Pistorius doubled over in the dock. Retching and heaving, often seen wrapping his hands around his head, plugging his ears with his thumbs. But today, it was the Blade Runner's turn to describe the scene that night.
I thought that there was a burglar that was gaining entry into my home. And the first thing that ran through my mind was that I needed to arm myself, that I needed to protect Reeva and that I needed to get my gun.
He said he grabbed the gun from beneath his bed, but it was pitch black.
If the curtains are drawn, you can't see anything in the room.
Testifying he didn't see Reeva, but called out to her.
Just as I left my bed, I whispered for Reeva to get down and phone the police.
He testified that he called out to her 3 times, but was solely focused on the imagined intruders.
It was at that point that I was just overcome with fear and I started screaming and shouting for the burglar or the intruders to get out of my house.
Hearing something in the bathroom, he said he sidled in on his stumps.
I heard a noise from inside the toilet, what I perceived to be somebody coming out of the toilet. Before I knew it, I'd fired 4 shots at the door. I kept on shouting for Reeva to phone the police.
She would never answer. He knew she was dead before he found her body.
I was crying out for the Lord to help me. I was crying out for Reeva. I was screaming.
The defense is arguing that Pistorius, born without fibulas, felt more vulnerable that night than an able-bodied person would. Then Pistorius' lead attorney, Barry Rue, stunning the courtroom.
Would you now take your prosthesis off and stand next to the door?
Showing what Pistorius looks like without his prosthetics.
How uncomfortable would someone like that feel when they don't have their prosthetics on?
I think quite uncomfortable.
Tonight we exclusively interviewed the man who has been building Pistorius' prosthetics for over 20 years.
So how mobile would Oscar be on his stumps?
If it's stony ground or anything like that with sharp objects, well, he's not going to be mobile at all.
Trevor Brockman helped make Pistorius the fastest man on no legs. But he said his prowess on prosthetics also made him feel more vulnerable, even self-conscious without them. All this drama playing out on a 24-hour cable station, which hangs on every word from the now disgraced national hero.
He is given very little information to bolster his case. He's got a lot of work to do.
You just have an adjournment, I presume.
David O'Sullivan is a legal analyst with the pop-up Pistorius news channel.
His wailing and his anguish there will be felt by some as being incredibly painful and by others as being an act.
Earlier in testimony, the defense had Pistorius read dozens of messages between him and Reeva in the days before the shooting, revealing the most intimate details of a passionate 3-month-long relationship.
It says kiss, kiss means a lot.
Often loving, sometimes mundane.
I miss you, special person.
She sent him sexy selfies. He called her
my angel.
Sometimes she made him sound menacing and angry.
I'm scared of you sometimes and how you snap at me.
Pistorius breaking down as he read.
I'm the girl who fell in love with you and wanted to tell you this weekend.
The goal? To undercut the prosecution's assertions that she was afraid of him. When he first took the stand yesterday, he expressed sadness, even remorse, for what he calls a tragic accident.
I can't imagine the pain and the sorrow and the emptiness that I've caused you and your family.
But O'Sullivan is convinced the emotional testimony is hurting Pistorius.
I didn't think he did that well. He needs to rein himself in. He's going to have to do something pretty severe now to ensure that he doesn't keep breaking down.
After all, Pistorius has but one person to convince, Judge Masipa, who must look beyond remorse to determine whether Steenkamp's death was a horrible accident or a cold-blooded killing. For Nightline, I'm Matt Gutman in Pretoria, South Africa.